everybody, it's your boy Brad back again, here to talk to you about the Legend of Zelda series, in particular one game, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So, if you followed Easy Allies for a little bit, you know I'm a huge Zelda fan, big time. It all goes back to the NES days when I was very, very young. Probably around 3 or 4, I would say. My dad said I've been wanting this game, this Legend of Zelda game. I had saw ads for it. I was so young, I guess, I don't remember asking my dad about this, but he's like, yeah, you asked me for it, but I played this game, man. I remember playing this game and this crazy sense of adventure. I never have felt anything like that at the time. I was in this, it felt like, you look at it visually today, it's very primitive, but back then, I felt like I was in a vast world of a fantasy, essentially. I couldn't believe what I was playing. I got lost in this game, spent so many hours. My brother would hop in to try to help. Some neighbor kids would come in to try to help. We called Nintendo Power Hotline to get some tips, man. That was expensive. Shouldn't have done that. But, you gotta do what you gotta do at the time. But anyways, from there on, my love of Zelda continued throughout as it grew. I would say Zelda is the reason why I truly fell in love with video games. Played Mario before, but Zelda is what really, really captured me and got me into the medium. Obviously, you go to Super Nintendo, Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time later on that, Majora's Mask, you get Wind Waker, all that stuff. Love it. Really good stuff, all fun. Then we get to Skyward Sword comes out. I like Skyward Sword for the record. I enjoyed this game, but it's got some problems. It's a little, it feels a little cramped, I would say, that game. It felt a little, I felt like I was limited almost to what I could do in that game, and Zelda series kind of started to do this, and it kind of lost that feeling of what I loved about Zelda and this sense of freedom and exploration. So something needed to be done, I would say. Kind of like how I love the original Resident Evil games, the fixed camera, but something had to be done at a point to bring that series to, give it a second life, I would say. Resident Evil 4 was that, so Zelda, I think, needed something like that. All right, let's flash forward to 2014. We get a video with Anuma about the new Zelda game saying that they wanted to revisit the conventions of the Zelda series. They wanted to challenge what we had come to expect of Zelda. It became formulaic in a lot of ways, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it lost kind of the excitement. And they just wanted, they want to get that sense of freedom again that the players felt and he felt from the original NES classic. They rolled this clip. I believe he snaps his fingers and we see Hyrule. Vast, huge Hyrule. We see Link on a horse. Actually, we don't even know if it's Link at the time. We see a person on a horse with a hood. This gorgeous Hyrule. He was talking about, you can go to that mountain, you see it, you can go there, kind of whole thing, all that good stuff. Then he gets attacked by this person on this horse gets attacked by this crazy spider robot thing chasing him through there. We don't know what's going on. It's chasing him through, it's shooting lasers. Then we see Link throw off this cloak. Big change right away. Link not wearing his green tunic, the green tunic we've been so used to for so many years. He's wearing blue now. That blew my mind. That may seem like a big deal to some people, but that blew my mind right away. We see him shooting some bomb arrows right off the bat, then he leaps into the air. Slow-mo with this new arrow we've never seen before. Lets it rip. That's it. That's all we get, man. Everyone's speculation going crazy. I was going crazy. Damiani was freaking out. What is going on with this Zelda? We don't know, but it was damn exciting. So up to this point, we're kind of in the dark. We're getting a few shots of, Miyamoto and Anuma showing this game off screen, running through on a horse through some trees or whatever. Cool, but what? I don't know what the game exactly is, but I like what I see. But then flash forward to 2017 and we get this trailer, baby. This trailer right before the game comes out, pretty soon before it comes out. Just showing off Hyrule, man. You know this trailer if you've seen it. You feel it. This trailer sold the game and the concept so hard that everyone was in right when we saw it. Okay, and finally, after years of waiting, we got Breath of the Wild on March 3rd, 2017 for the Wii U and, of course, the Nintendo Switch, which is not the first time Zelda has been on 2 consoles at one time. Twilight Princess, definitely famous for that, even though GameCube came out a week or a month later, but still, you know what I mean. Zelda's got that kind of power where it's on 2 consoles pretty much at the same time. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Breath of the Wild. Let's get into this game. So, the game opens up with Link awakening in this pod, you know, this like healing pod or something, this shrine, and he hears a mysterious voice telling about this Sheikah slate that's now right by him that he could get, and it serves as our guide on this adventure. This like weird ancient Sheikah technology. Looks like a Wii U gamepad, very intentional, very funny, Nintendo. I see what you're doing there. But you get this gamepad, so you're like, okay, this is already very different. I have some semi-high-tech thing that Link's holding. Whatever, here we go. You walk out of this cave and you get that shot. That shot, you know what I'm talking about? He walks out there on that cliff. You see all of Hyrule right there. That music kicks in, dude. Goosebumps every time. I love that moment. An incredible shot in video game that will be burned in my brain for the rest of my life. A shot that sets the tone for what the entire game is going to be. And I just love that. All right, so the game starts at the Great Plateau. This is the kind of the tutorial area of the game. So you're on this enclosed area. You know, you could see the rest of Hyrule, but you can't go jump down or you'll die, you know, you can't do that yet. But the plateau you're closed in is still very, very huge. You got mountains, you got forest, you got water stuff, like streams, all this good stuff. There's plenty of to see and do, and once again, set the tone for what the game is gonna be. So you go down there and you meet this old guy, introduces himself, you talk to him for a little bit, yada yada, all that good stuff. Eventually you get up to you activate a tower that comes out of the ground, climb up this tower. This old guy is like, yo man, why don't you go to these shrines here? There's 4 shrines that are now popping up, which are like essentially mini dungeons for this game. So he's like, why don't you go through these whole things and I'll give you this sick paraglider thing I got. Because he comes flying in that thing at a point and it's really sick. You see him riding that and you're like, wow, I do want that. So you go to each of these 4 things. So what's cool and different about this Zelda is like most of your abilities are done through your Sheikah slate. So like you get bombs, you get powers like magnesis stuff. You can like lift things like that. You get stuff to slow down time. It's not like items you get later on in the game, like past Zelda games. You know, you go through a dungeon, you get the dungeon item, you use that to get through or to defeat the boss, and you can maybe do a few things in the world. No, this time Breath of the Wild is kind of like, hey, all the tools, the main tools you're gonna need to get through this game, we're gonna give to you right off the bat. So once you get these things, you're free to do. But what's also cool about these shrines is they teach you about the world also as you're just trying to get to them. That's a big thing about this game is, hey, you know where you gotta go. You see that spot over there, you see where you wanna go. It's up to you to figure out how you wanna do it. And some ways might be easier than others, but if you wanna do it, you can do it. So one of them earlier, or one of the 4 shrines later on they teach you is that there's one in the mountains. So naturally you start running up there. Link gets cold though. And he starts losing health. You're like, what's happening here? What's going on? You see some pepper plants, dude. And you see like a little pot thing, dude, letting you know like, hey, maybe you can cook these things up and like eat them. You do that, Link's a little more resistant to cold. Good stuff. But also, if you're inquisitive up there on those mountains, you can find a chest with a cloak in there to keep you warm. Good stuff. I love it, Nintendo. Also, this time around when I was exploring the plateau, I forgot about or missed some of these things. So the old man you can find scattered throughout the plateau. Like I was in the woods, like a very wood stuff, and he was hunting boar. And he teaches you about like, hey, you can hunt these things to get food, to cook them. I was like, okay, this is the kind of tutorial I like. I just stumbled upon this kind of stuff. Another one, dude, he was chopping a tree. Just chopping a tree, knocking a tree down, and he started teaching you about like firewood you could get to make firewood. But then I needed to get to a shrine that was further off, but there was a gap. And I was like, I can't jump this gap, but there's a bunch of trees there. So when I saw the tree fall, you're like, oh man, maybe I can make a bridge. You could chop that tree and you can actually make a bridge to cross it. God, I love that kind of stuff in this game. That's what I love about this game, is just having these problems and finding weird ways to solve them. Anyways, You go through this whole ordeal, you get the 4 shrines, you get all your Sheikah Slate powers, you know, your bomb, your slowdown, all that kind of good stuff, the magnetism. Really fun, really cool tools that we're going to be using a lot throughout the game. But once you get everything, you go to the Temple of Time. If you played a Zelda game, you know the Temple of Time. You know Ocarina of Time, you know that Temple of Time. Twilight Princess, you know that Temple of Time. You go there, it's all ruined though. Stuff's been going bad. You talk to this old man. Turns out, he is the ghost of the King of Hyrule, Rom Bosphemous Hyrule. Probably said that wrong. We'll get a Damiani check on that. Because I couldn't pronounce it very good. Just say it. What do you think it is?
King Rome Bosphorus.
That's probably it. He tells you, yo, Link, Hyrule is in danger. It's been destroyed. It's under attack from Ganon. Ganon awoke 100 years ago and just destroyed everybody. Everyone's dead. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people are dead. Hyrule Castle is ruined. And you can see Calamity Ganon out there in the background, like floating around going, rah! It's pretty cool. Then you find out that Zelda is in there, and you can hear Zelda talking to you throughout this whole process a little bit here and there, and you piece together that it is Zelda. And he's like, hey, Link, you got to stop Calamity Ganon. You got to save Hyrule. He goes, here's my my glider thing. I know you wanted this. Then he's like, I gotta go. You know, I gotta go be a ghost somewhere. So he leaves. So you got the glider now. So now you are free to leave this plateau, I should say. You're free to leave this plateau. You jump off, you fly down, you land. You get a brief idea of where you could go. You get a quest to go to like Kakariko Village, okay? You get one quest there. But you're off this plateau now. You can go anywhere you want in Hyrule. You don't have to follow a linear story structure of saying, yo, you gotta do the Forest Temple, then you gotta do the Fire Temple, then you gotta do this temple, the Water Temple. You don't gotta go in that order. You can go any direction you want, whether you think you're prepared or not. Hell, you could even run straight to Hyrule Castle and take on Ganon immediately if you want. I love that. That is so sick. But the game also tells you like, hey man, yeah, you could do this. It's possible, but if you are not careful, you're gonna get taken out real quick. For instance, if you run towards Hyrule Castle, you're gonna have to deal with those spider guardian dudes. They will just shoot a Death Star beam at you and you're dead. So the freedom's there, but you gotta be careful about it, all right? You're most likely gonna go to Kakariko Village to talk to Impa. You talk to Impa, you get a breakdown on what's going on, this kind of thing. Then you get the idea of yada yada. You learn about these 4 divine beasts out in the world that used to be something of that the Hyrule royal family used with the champions from the other races to defend themselves from Calamity Ganon coming back. So you do that. You got those 4 beasts out there. You can go in any order you want. Let's talk about the world of Hyrule itself. Hyrule is massive, absolutely massive place. It's beautiful also. I found myself just stopping constantly, just soaking up the vibe wherever I was at, just feeling like, you feel like you're in nature. So, like they did such a good job of capturing that in my opinion. Once you're in Hyrule and you're like, okay, now I'm ready to just do whatever I want kind of thing, you'll quickly find that Hyrule is a massive land full of danger, but also really sick secrets, all that good stuff. So some of the things you're gonna find out in the world are, you know, you got your towers, man, your classic Yubi towers, the Jones towers, the Jones special, everyone loves. You go up those towers, you climb them, it reveals parts of the map. What I love about this game so much though is it doesn't puke out a bunch of question marks or points of interest necessarily for you to go look at, which I love because it's like, hey man, we want you to go explore something because you see something and it looks cool. We don't want you necessarily to follow like just a marker or anything like that. It's like, no, that's not the point of the game. The point of the game is for you to want to discover stuff. And I just love that. Along with that, the world of Hyrule is filled with dangers and just really weird stuff out there. Super weird. You could just be walking around, you know, some bokoblins will ambush you or something like that, or a moblin, something you got to keep on your toes. There's also citizens of Hyrule just walking around, you know, you can talk to them. Some are very friendly. However, some of them are not friendly. You talk to them, they play friendly for a second, and they snap. They're Yiga clan members, which are the exact opposite of the Sheikah clan. The Sheikah clan served the Hyrule royal family. The Yiga clan served Ganon. So they're gonna hunt you down throughout this game. So you gotta be careful about these freaks. I love them, but they're freaks, so be careful. So you're out in this big world, you're like, yeah, this is cool. It looks very nice. I like walking around, but like, what is the incentive? Why should I explore beyond just the satisfaction of seeing the beautiful land of Hyrule? Well, there's a few things out there. Number one is the shrines. So throughout Hyrule, the land of Hyrule, there is a total of 120 shrines. And shrines serve as a mini type of dungeon kind of thing. You find it on the map, you go down, it takes you down an elevator, and you're in a separate space, completely separate space that is filled with challenges. These can range from platforming challenges to puzzle-focused challenges to even combat ones. And of course, once you go through each shrine, you get a spirit orb. So spirit orbs are used to upgrade your max health or your max stamina for Link. So these are very important. Stamina, obviously you need it to climb. You're gonna be climbing a lot in this game. You're gonna use it for gliding, you're gonna use it for swimming, super important. And of course, health, take the hits to live. All that good stuff. So once you get 4 spirit orbs, you're able to turn them into a statue of Hylia to upgrade those. So you're allowed to kind of just choose how you want to progress Link, I should say, in some sort of way. I like it, it's cool. Let me talk to you about some of the shrines themselves also, okay? So the shrines, there's some that I like and some that I think are just okay. So one that I did like was this Trial of Power. You had a mechanical, it was almost like a wrecking ball. It started and you would use your magnet to move this ball and like slam into a wall and break it down. You go running through all that kind of stuff. You're fighting guardians along the way. You're figuring out, then you get to another thing. You gotta use motion controls to hit the ball, get that rolling, all that goofy stuff. Then you got to freeze a little plank so that the ball can land on it and go through and break the door open. Just really something, it reminded me of Mousetrap almost kind of way. I was like, this is really sick, I like this. And of course, you know, you got the motion controlled focused ones purely. There's one where you're like swinging it like golf almost, dude, and you're like trying to hit the ball in this thing. Then there's one where you have like a table, you gotta like flip around to guide a ball through there. I think it's very frustrating for a lot of people, and I think it's very frustrating, especially on handheld. But I cannot lie, I do think these are fun and I enjoy doing them. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I do enjoy doing them, but I can see also how they're annoying, but I love them, keep them in Nintendo. Sometimes the puzzle is not necessarily it's not the puzzle in the shrine, but it's the idea of to unlock the shrine for you to go down into. So there's a couple that I really like, and I'm sure you remember some of these if you've played them. One is Eventide Island. So in Hyrule, in the southeast corner of the map, there's this little island off there, pretty far away. You can jump off a cliff and glide there, but you need a little bit of stamina, or you can, you know, get a boat or something like that and use the Korok leaf to win yourself over there. But anyways, you get over to this island, okay? I didn't know what I was getting into. I don't think anyone knew what they were getting into. You get there, you land, they're like, hey, we're taking away all your stuff, all your gear, all your weapons, they're gone, dude. You gotta get these 3 orbs and put them in these 3 slots on the island. So they're like, good luck, throw you in there. And I love this, dude. I love this because you'd spent time building up Link, getting that gear. You felt pretty steady and secure at parts. And the game just flips all that on its head, and it's like, nah, you gotta do this the hard way again. And luckily, right off the bat, you know, some bokoblins. You could throw some bombs at them, all that good stuff to grab their weapons. Really fun. There's some camps up there. You get in the ball, then you're escorting it. One of the balls is tied to a Hinox, a big giant like world boss. So you gotta make sure you get enough weapons to take this guy down. You get the ball, you throw him in there. Super cool, like really weird idea for just one shrine that I just loved, but I think it was so cool and unexpected and made a lasting impact on people like me, and I've seen many other people just love this moment of the game. shout out Nintendo on that one, big time. Also, some of the other puzzles, it's like, I ran into one where it's like, hey, you gotta get lightning to strike this rock, essentially. And there's lightning clouds, or lightning in the sky also at this time, so lightning's coming down. But it's not necessarily gonna hit the rock just on its own, so you're like, what can I do? Another cool thing about this game, you got metal weapons, they're gonna conduct electricity. You could start seeing them like pulsating on your back when lightning's getting struck to you. It's like bam, bam, bam. So what I did is I took a metal sword, I just put it down on the rock, stepped back and just let this lightning come down. Just boom, blow it open. Felt really satisfying. Just solving puzzles in like weird ways I didn't even think about. I love it. Oh, also some of the other shrines, like I loved this one where it's just like wind focus. It's just blowing wind up. You gotta like jump on it with Link and use your glider, and there's rotating platforms going around, and you gotta shoot your arrow to unlock more fans as you're going up like this tower essentially in the middle. And it felt like just a really cool platforming challenge that I'm not used to in Zelda games, you know, because most Zelda games, Link didn't even have a jump button besides like Zelda 2 or if you have the Rock's Feather, but it's just like getting this weird platforming stuff is just taking me out of what I expected of Zelda. And just been like, there's more to this series, there's still more we can do. And I just love that. It gets me so excited when they do things like this, not only for the moment I was in, but for the future of the series. There's also this shrine where you use your stasis on this giant ball so you can hit it. So you use the stasis, there's like a sledgehammer there, you can spin it around and hit this thing and it builds up, and you're essentially playing like golf with this thing, dude, and you're trying to hit it. It's really fun. And once you get it, there's another one though, but it's much more challenging, and I spent way too much time on that particular challenge than I'd cared to admit, but damn, it was fun. But yeah, there's a lot of shrines. People are mixed on them, you know, they got the good and the bad. There's some good and bad ones. Some of them, like, I don't think any of them are like terrible or anything like that. They're just like kind of short, could be really short and just like very basic, some of them. But like I was saying earlier, there's some more involved ones. But what is so sick about the shrines is once you do a whole 120 shrines, you get something that I've been searching for a long time in this game. So just to give you some context, like we said earlier, Link's wearing blue this time around, or he's like wearing other stuff. He's not wearing his tunic right off the bat, you know? There's a bunch of other clothes that Link can get throughout his journey to help him with stuff. You know, you might get like a thing to help you go to Death Mountain so you don't burn up, or to go to the Gerudo Desert, keep that heat down, or not to freeze in the Rito region. You get all the 120 shrines. You get the Tunic of the Wild. This is this game's version of Link's classic tunic that I desperately wanted. It looks so sick. I love it in this game, but I can't help but be disappointed that by the time you get it, you've done like everything in the game at this point, essentially. It's just like such a sick reward. I love that you earn this awesome reward, but you just get it so damn late, and I feel like I didn't have a chance to wear it that often, but it's better than nothing, and it looks really great. Okay, so also when you're in the field walking around, there's little Koroks out there, little forest kids, you know? These Koroks, if you do their little challenge or puzzle, this could be, hey, maybe you just lift up a rock and one's right under there. He's like, you found me! Or there's like you can shoot your bow at something like that or run through something like that. You get these Korok seeds, and you take these seeds to a giant Korok named Hestu. He's got like little like maracas and stuff. He's really awesome. You give him these seeds and he can expand your inventory. So it's like, hey, I want to hold more weapons. Give him some Korok seeds, you got more weapon slots now. I need to hold more bows. Oh, you got more bow slots now. And what I like about these, there's like 900 of these Korok seeds, if you can believe it. 900. I ain't getting all those. But if you want to, you're a maniac, but I respect it. But it's just cool that it's more like designed to me in the sense of not a completionist thing, but it's something you just kind of find naturally out in the world. It catches your eye real quick. You're like, let me go do that kind of thing. That's what I love about this. It's not about like, they're all on your map, you can see them. It's just a little something you do along the way and just kind of build up your storage as you go along. Okay, so if you've played a Zelda game, or you probably know about dungeons. even if you haven't played them. Like, dungeons are a core part of the Zelda series all the way from the beginning. They've been in all of them, multiple dungeons. Of course, they've evolved over time, especially in 3D when you start getting like the more complex and themed ones, I should say. You know, like Forest Temple, love it. Twilight Princess got some awesome temples too, like the Snow Peak Ruins. Love all that good stuff. There are temples in this game, / dungeons, but they are different this time around. They are now, instead of being separate areas that are like themed around something, they are with individual themes. They are all themed after these divine beasts, these giant like robot mech beast things. These are the dungeons for every game, or for the game, which is cool at first. I'm like, all right, this is not bad. I like this idea. But once you get into them, they're not as good as I was hoping. They're pretty short too compared to a lot of other ones. Like, I was beating some of them in like 20 minutes, and I haven't played this game in years. And it's just like, man, this is kind of disappointing. Like, I like some of the stuff I'm doing in here. Like, for each of the beasts, there is a thing where you can move them via your map. So like the water one really early on, and you can raise its trunk to like blow water, and you can use it to help solve puzzles. Like, that's all really cool. I really like that, but it was just so short. And I was just like, yeah, I needed a little more from you. There's also boss fights at the end of them, which I do like. Good job. But every one of these boss fights is a form of like blight from Ganon. Okay, so these 4 things, they killed the previous champions of these that controlled the divine beasts. Whatever, they use their kind of weapons and stuff like that. So like the first one that I do always is the Zora one, and then he'll use like a spear like Mipha did. But they're okay, the fights are all right, but they just don't have like any personality. There's not anything to them. They're just kind of this nameless, personality-less kind of just killing machine, which is fine, I guess, but I just kind of want a little more, because Zelda games have some really creative bosses. And I appreciate them trying something different with these shrines, and I like the method, but they just didn't hit as hard for me. And I don't think they hit as hard for a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people were kind of lamenting the fact that their traditional dungeons were gone. Now, some of these I do think are a little better than the other ones. Like, I think the camel one is a little more complex because you're rotating like 3 different parts on its back, and with like electricity stuff lining up. I think that's really cool. And there was one that's like kind of in the dark earlier, or like it's in the dark earlier on, so you're going through there, and that's neat, but they're just kind of missing something, I think. Hopefully going forward they'll have more traditional dungeons in Zelda, but I still enjoy these, but they do leave a lot to be desired, I gotta say. However, one cool thing about each of the divine beasts is at the beginning, before you actually get into the divine beast, you meet up with people who are kind of like taking on the roles of the newer champions of Hyrule. You know, you got Sidon, you know, with the Zora now taking over for his sister Mipha. You ride Sidon through the water with electric arrows and like shooting at this beast, then jumping in, and it's awesome. Then you got Tiba, he's like a Rito, you know, you're flying in the sky, you're chasing this divine flying beast bird up in the sky, really cool, dude, and it's like shooting lasers at you, and he's flying with you, and you're jumping off him and falling in slow-mo and shooting, really sick. Then with Riju, you're riding these, you're like, it's almost like a sled dog, but it's like a sand seal. You're like holding onto it, and you're sliding across the sand, and she's putting up this barrier to protect you from electricity. Really cool stuff. Then one I'd really like is with Yunobu, this Goron, you're putting him in like a cannon, and you're shooting this dude up at the beast the salamander climbing on Death Mountain. You're just shooting him at it and just damaging it. It's really sick, and you're escorting him up this mountain while there's guardians shooting at you. Really cool stuff. I do appreciate that though. So when you're out in the field, you know, exploration, you see something, how do you want to get there? You got to figure it out. But when you do Divine Beast, sometimes you get powers from the champions, the dead champions. They give you some powers. So like Mipha gives you something where you get health back if you're about to die. The one I think is the most important is Rivali. You get Rivali's Gale. So essentially, it's a giant wind gust that just lifts you high up into the air that you can just use to, you're at a difficult part, don't worry about it. You just use that, whoop, you fly right over it. It feels super good because you had to earn that. And also, It has a cooldown, you know, you can use it like once or twice, but it's got a cooldown. You gotta wait though, but it feels really cool when you're just able to like jump over something very quickly when it would have taken you a lot longer before. And in the game, of course, armor sets are a big part of the game. For like, you know, defense and all that kind of stuff that you can upgrade, really cool stuff. But there's also like a climbing set you can grade that's super important, I think, to help you just climb stuff faster. But everyone who's played this game knows, man, you climb a lot in this game. Once it starts raining, dude, it's pure depression because you cannot climb stuff very well. You can kind of do if you got a lot of stamina, but every time you're climbing, dude, you're slipping after a little bit. You're getting close, you're slipping. It's just brutal. I really hope if in like a future game they have something where you can help you climb in the rain better. Please, Nintendo, please. All right, let's talk about a controversial topic. Big controversial topic in the Zelda Breath of the Wild community. It seems to be a kind of thing you love or you hate, mostly. I'm kind of like I'm cool with either of it, honestly. It works for me, but a big thing in this game is weapon durability. So a lot of the weapons you're getting in this game, or pretty much all of them, they all break at some point. You use them, they break. You got a shield, you use it, you get hit too much, it breaks. You got a bow, you shoot it too much, it breaks. So you're pretty frequently, especially earlier on in the game, getting new weapons, trying out new things. So I think people don't like this because it puts they feel like pressure. They get this weapon that's really cool, they want to hold on to it, and they end up not using it for the whole game. Kind of like how me and Mike hold Magnum rounds forever in Resident Evil games, and we like never use them, we just forget to. But what I like about this is getting these weapons and experimenting and using stuff that I usually wouldn't have. And what makes this even better is there's new weapon types now. So Link's been using he's been using the Master Sword forever, you know? You've been using that kind of thing. Sword doesn't break. But now Link's using like axes, he's using spears, he's using hammers, he's using a bunch of new types of weapons that he hasn't really used before, and I just can't help but love that. And honestly, as you're going through the game, and if you're exploring, you're doing some shrines and all that good stuff, you're getting weapons pretty frequently. Like in my most recent playthrough, I had so much stuff that I just had to leave stuff behind frequently. But I was just like, I'm not worried about running out of stuff, especially when you get the Master Sword later on, which is like really awesome. You know the Master Sword? It is the Master Sword. Everyone knows and loves it. But once you use this bad boy enough, it will break, but it will regenerate and come back. Now, I think that's a really great way to keep the durability mechanic in the game, but respecting the power of the Master Sword and the legacy. You gotta respect it, don't do it dirty. So one thing I also love about this game is when you start the game, you don't have a horse or anything like that. Link's got nothing. But you learn later on that you can tame horses, so you gotta go out there, you gotta sneak up and tame your own horse, which I love, and you get to name it. My first horse was Walter. I will always remember Walter in Breath of the Wild for that moment. I used that boy through the whole game, and he fought game with me. It was so tight, and I love that that was in the game. But of course, there's also some other animals you can ride, but you can't tame them, disappointingly, but there's some cool stuff you could ride out there if you're curious about that. So we talked about some of the divine beasts, which are the replacement for dungeons now, but I got brief glimpses of brilliance and stuff that I really like. Stuff that I hope continues to go forward is kind of like these more mini dungeon-esque kind of things. Not the shrines necessarily, which are also mini dungeons. You can make an argument that the divine beasts are, but like whatever. The thing I'm talking about specifically is the Yiga clan hideout. So you gotta go to this place for Riju. You gotta go in there. This is where the Yiga clan hangs out. These are servants of Ganon. You gotta sneak in there. It's like MGS style, dude. You're sneaking around. If you get caught, dude, they ambush you. And these guys can hit hard, so you can go down quick. But dude, I love it. They gave these guys some weird quirk where they just love bananas. These dudes just love bananas. So they could be these huge jacked dudes walking around. You could slip a banana down on the ground. Then they'll see it and they'll like, oh, get excited and go right up to it. Then you can get a little stealth attack on them. I really like that. But anyways, you're just going through this like fortress, this Yiga clan hideout, avoiding guys, like I said, MGS style, getting through there. Then you get to the end, then you meet the leader of the Yiga clan, Master Koga, dude. The big boy. And you have like a boss battle with him. I was like, dude, this is sick. I really like this thing. You're going through this area, you get to the end, you get a boss fight, and you get some lore. It's cool, I love that. I wish the game had more stuff like that. I just love stuff like that. I hope they continue to do more of that in the future. Good job, once again, Nintendo. So along with like shrines and just finding random stuff, there's also side quests you can do in the world. You can just get from random NPCs, maybe at a stable, like one by the Gerudo Town stable. There's this guy, he's like, hey, I was traveling with these 4 other people and we got ambushed. Can you go help me, go find them for me? So you're like, all right, cool, I will do this. So you're in this like canyon, man, and you're going through there and you're going up these wood planks, slowly going higher and higher up the canyon. And you see bokoblins like surrounding a person. You help them destroy, like I was throwing bombs at these bokoblins, they're flying off, is really sick. You rescue them, they're super thankful, they go back to the stable where the other dude is. But you start collecting all these people, and then you get the sense and you learn that they're pretty resentful of this guy. They don't like this guy, they feel like he abandoned them. So you get them all back together, at the end you go back, then they're just like, yeah, we're breaking up as a group, we're done. And you're just like, I just did all that to save you guys, and you're just over it? It's like, okay, dude. All right, I guess that's just the way it is. One quest I also like too, it's very short, is there is a shrine surrounded by these flowers, okay? And there's this woman there who loves these flowers. I think she's tending to them. Anyway, she tells you like, hey, don't step on these flowers, okay? So you gotta get to the shrine without stepping on the flowers. Now, if you have like Rivali's Gale, obviously you can just whoop, fly up there and go right on that, which is fun. But if you try to walk around, you step on one, she gets a little annoyed, okay? Just sets you back. Do it again, she gets more annoyed. Sets you back. Do it again, she gets really annoyed. Then eventually she gets so pissed at you, she like takes you out, dude. She full on attacks Link and like decks him. It's just so weird, and I love it. Of course, Hitano Village, you can buy a house. You could get a house in Zelda, player housing from Michael Huber, dude. You pay up, you get this cozy little house. You could set up some of your weapons on the wall. It's so jolly. But what's even better about this is that it leads to the best side quest in the game by far, which is the construction of Terrytown. So one of the workers that helped work, there's this construction company that like built the house, they're around there. One of the guys goes off to start his own community. So you find him further in the world and he's like, I want to build at this town and have people come here, but every person has to have son in their name. So he's like, I could maybe go for this type of person, maybe in this area. So you go out there, you search, you find someone, you find like a Goron, and he has son in his last name. Then and his actual son, the Goron son, has son in his last name too. So they come to Terrytown and they start building stuff up and setting up shop. Then you get a Rito to join the town, also a son. He comes up and starts setting up shop. The town is slowly building. Then you get a Gerudo woman to come over here. She's setting up shop now too. You get a Zora also to come down here eventually. And the guy you started with gets married with the Gerudo woman. They have a wedding. It is the most jolly thing ever. And the theme of Terrytown is just so damn good. I'm sure Don's playing it right now because he better be. I just love this title. It's one of the sickest side quests and one of my favorite in Zelda history, without a doubt. All right, so the combat. I really like the combat in this game. Along with the weapon durability and all that kind of stuff, Link has a nice arsenal of moves, I would say. You know, he's a trained knight. So now you got the parry. You know I always love parries. Always good Brad bait. But now you also got like the Bayonetta witch time dodge. If you dodge at the right time right before an enemy attacks you, it slows down. You can get a flurry of hits in. Really good stuff. Some of the enemies out in the world too are very challenging if you're not prepared for them, which I really love, because you know, most Zelda games, especially the 3D ones later on, it's like they're pretty much cakewalks most of the time, but it's just felt good having some brutal enemies out there. And it's like Really sick because you can use your Sheikah Slate powers to help you in this combat. You can upgrade it so you can slow them down or freeze them in their place for a little bit so you can get some free hits in. Or you can like maybe pick up a metal box with your magnet power and smack someone with a metal box and send them flying. It's all really good stuff. Or you could, if you're under pressure, you can throw some bombs, get them fly off a cliff or something like that. There's just a lot more flexibility in combat this time around, and I really appreciate it. So we got towns, obviously, it's a Zelda game, you got towns, but the towns here are so damn jolly. Kakariko Village now is like a Japanese-inspired kind of village. Tano Village is just so cozy, man. The music playing there just relaxes me every time, especially when you get your house there. You feel like a citizen of that place. Rito Village I really like. It's just like up this giant stone structure of you walking around. You got all the bird people hanging out. You got like little bird kids sleeping in their little beds. It's very cute. And you got Gerudo Town, which is super sick because this is like the biggest Gerudo Town we've ever seen in a Zelda game, you know? And of course it's all female only, so if you try to go in as Link dressed normally, you get kicked out, but you gotta dress up like a woman and you sneak in there. It's really sick. Really cool to see just like these cultures of Hyrule and how their towns are laid out, and just getting to explore them more than we've ever gotten to is awesome. And of course, dude, Goron City. You know I love those Gorons, dude. Just seeing them chilling on like big rock beds and all that stuff, just being awesome rock dudes. I cannot get enough of them. Oh yeah, also there's like a Hawaiian kind of inspired village that's just like, you could just find randomly at the south part of the map. It's just like a tropical paradise, dude. It's super jolly. I love it. There's not a lot to do there, but I just appreciate that it's there, and it just helps make Hyrule feel more alive than ever. Okay, so Hyrule is a beautiful place. I love it. For the most part, everything runs pretty dang smooth, you know, on Switch. The old hardware, whatever. It runs pretty good. However, this is devastating to me every time. When you go to meet the Great Deku Tree, you know, go through the Lost Woods, you get to the Grove, dude. You see the Master Sword standing up. You get in there, the frame rate just dies, man. It just dies. And it breaks my heart every time because it's such an epic moment in every Zelda game when you go to get the Master Sword, you meet the Deku Tree. It just runs like shit, dude. And it just bothers me, man. Every time. I wish they could sort it out somehow to get that smooth, but alas, I don't think it's gonna ever happen. All right, let's talk about the story, the bulk of it. The story of Breath of the Wild is very strange. Most of the really exciting stuff happened in the past, 100 years ago. So a lot of the game is you going out into the world, you find a memory that you get from your Sheikah Slate that were taken a long time ago, and it triggers a memory in Link's brain. By the way, I do like going out in the world and finding these memories. I thought that was fun. However, you find these memories and they are all kind of just, they can be disjointed depending on what order you find them in. You could be getting story things from way further than you want. So luckily once you get them all, you can watch them all again in order, but it's weird kind of, but the story itself is cool. I like that they're all preparing for Calamity Ganon to come. I'm worried about Zelda struggling with her powers, trying to awaken her powers. This is a huge thing with her character I really like in this game, is so much responsibility is on her, put pressure on her by like her dad, especially you get a scene with her dad, the king of Hyrule, like cracking the whip at her to quit fucking around, and like, you gotta awaken this power, and her dealing with that, then Link getting assigned to be her knight and her being kind of resentful at Link, but then slowly she learns more about him and their relationship kind of gets a little more jolly and all that stuff. Then you get the champions who are controlling, who are in charge of the divine beasts, like Urbosa, the Gerudo. She's awesome character. I really love her, super badass. Rivali, very cocky, always talking shit. Mipha is just a delightful person, super kind. She really cares about Link especially. And Daruk, just, you know, jolly Huber character, like, hey, what's up, dude? I'm Daruk, we're gonna fuck some guys up. Like, love that guy. But when you get all the memories together, you start to unravel the thing of Calamity Ganon coming and just wiping everyone out, killing all those champions pretty much right off the bat. And you're just like, damn, dude, it's brutal. And seeing Hyrule Castle fall and like Link fighting to protect Zelda and slowly getting beat up over time, then eventually ending at a part where Link essentially is gonna die. and he is rushed to the Shrine of Resurrection to try to heal him, and Zelda goes to face Ganon alone. And in this process, she is trapped in Hyrule Castle, keeping Ganon at bay, essentially, from taking over everything. So then it flash forwards 100 years, and then we get Link. So a lot of it is just kind of happening in the past, the most exciting parts. It's cool, but I wish it more just kind of happened where we're at right now. And I think, because Ganon in this game is more of a sense of nature, almost. He's raw and primal. He doesn't talk to you or anything like that. He's just like in the background. It's cool seeing him around Hyrule Castle. But I do wish there was a character throughout the game, like a Girahim in Skyward Sword, like an enemy that kind of teases you throughout the whole game, just letting their presence feel more known. Because like you could be off in an area for hours and not even thinking about Ganon. I think if there was just a character there taunting you, it would have helped a lot. Okay, let's talk about the thing that upsets me the most in this game. Let's talk about the amiibo. All right, so the amiibo look cool, no doubt. You know, you get your little Zelda amiibo, love it, all that good stuff. And I like this idea, the amiibo give you stuff. So if you use the amiibo, you can get, you know, some goods, like some food or whatever, but there's a chance you could get a piece of gear or something like that. So like, let's say you got the Twilight Princess Link amiibo. You use that, there's a chance you can get a piece of his equipment. Fine, whatever. But the chance can be pretty low. Like I've spent a lot of time, like 10 minutes, just trying to get one piece, and you gotta wait a day to do it again. You gotta like reset your clock all the time. It's just like super annoying. It's like, why can't I just have the amiibo and just get the damn item I want right off the bat? Ideally, these items would just be in the game. I wouldn't have to have an amiibo, which sometimes are rare and hard to find. So it's like, I don't even have them all. Like I didn't have like the Wind Waker Link for a long time, so I couldn't get like the Wind Waker stuff. It's just like, too bad if you couldn't find the amiibo. Better luck next time, I guess, some other time. So it just bums me out. I don't have a problem with DLC all the time, but this was just so annoying how you had to go about it. And it's like, you can't just buy it off the store. You can't just buy the outfit. Luckily, in the DLC later on that they added, there's some additional armors they added, and it's just like, hey, here's this quest, you go find them in the world, and that's it. You don't gotta think, I don't gotta put an amiibo on my controller and not get it, then reset, then do it again, then not get it, then reset, then not do it again, then finally maybe get it. You don't gotta do all that nonsense. It sucks. Please, please address this in the future. All right, so kind of surprising, I guess. This game got DLC, 2 actual DLC packs, which is not very Nintendo-like at the time, but I am fully down for always for more Zelda. The first one, though, is, I think, really interesting. This is probably not one that everyone's gonna be into, though. It is like it's a trial thing. It's called Trial of the Sword. So what it is, essentially, you go to Kakariko, or not Kakariko, you go to the forest for the Deku Trees, you put the Master Sword back on. You can take these trials to power up your Master Sword. So let me just break it down for you what it's like. So there are 3 trials you're gonna do, and each trial has a set number of floors. So like trial 1, you go through. There's a set number of floors you gotta go through. I think the first one has 13 floors or something like that. You run through it, you start with nothing again, like Eventide Island. You got nothing, no power. You got your hearts or whatever like that, but you don't have any equipment, okay? So you gotta fight your way with increasingly difficult enemies. You gotta pick up sticks, start with, then you start getting some better stuff. You gotta just manage your resources. You gotta be smart about this. And if you die though during this, you gotta start all the way back at the beginning. So you can get really high up, but if you're dead, whoop, sorry, you gotta go back. It's pretty hardcore, and I respect that. The first trial, the tier 1 is pretty chill, I think, pretty easy. But once you start getting to 2 and 3, stuff starts picking up. It starts getting very difficult, I would say, especially if you're playing on Master Mode. Watch out. But it's so sick because for each tier you complete, like I completed tier 1, my Master Sword damage went from 30 to 40 now, so it's just permanently better. And I think just some of the scenarios they put you in are really fun. Like one of them was, there's this raft going. I was like, oh, dude, I'm in the water. I got to get on this raft. It's got to go. But there's guys shooting at me from all around. I got to ride this raft, though, and I got to be careful and try to take guys out like that. Really sick, really fun. But these get tough, but I think this is a really cool, kind of unexpected challenge from the Zelda series that I didn't expect, but I want more of this kind of stuff. All right, and the second DLC is the Champions Ballad. So this is the more story-focused DLC. The first one, the Trial of the Master Sword, is very much just like a gameplay trial kind of thing. This one is story, so basically you go back to Shrine of Resurrection. I like this. This is cool. I'm curious what people think about this. So you go back to the shrine. You got to start this trial now. You get this weapon. This weapon you hold, one shots everyone it hits. But while you have this, you will also get one shot. So it's like you go onto the plateau. You got this. They're like, hey, here's these 4 areas you got to take out. You got to take out these camps. So you got bokoblins, moblins, lizard boys out there. You got to take them out, but you got to be careful about it. You got to use your wits, because you know you can maybe get one real quick, but if they just like so much sneeze on you, you're dead. It can be challenging, but I think it's really fun once and again, making you think outside the box of combat of how you might not usually do things. So I love it. But anyways, once you do all this, these pillars come up around Hyrule. These 4 new pillars. There's like one in the desert, one in the Zora region, one up in the Rito region, and one in the Goron region. So you go up there. There's these 3. They have like three pillars up on each, and each of them shows a thing on the map. So essentially, there's 3 hidden shrines in these regions, and these pillars are maps. So what I do, and I'm sure most people do, is you bust out your Sheikah slate, you snap a picture, you get all 3, then you're like, okay, now I got to find where this is on the map. I love this stuff. I think this is so fun, just figuring out where this is on the map. You go through them, and you go in them, and they're just brand new shrines also. So that's a win-win for me, baby. But once you do all, I think it's 12 probably shrines of these throughout the world, you unlock a new big, I don't know if it's technically a divine beast, but it's like essentially that. You know, it's like a new big divine beast dungeon. You know, you go down an elevator. Really cool. Also pretty small like the other ones, but a little bit more involved. It felt like, you know, I was taking big things off walls and moving them around and throwing them in other stuff and timing things, all that good stuff. Really fun. But the boss at this dude is this monk, man, this monk. You see throughout the game, you see monks every time you finish a shrine, like a mummified monk that talk to you. But this monk fights you, dude. He got 3 phases. He's doing like shadow clone jutsus. You know, he's like spreading out a bunch of things. One part he gets really big. He's fast. It's really cool. I really like this fight. Also through the thing, the trials, there's like once you finish a region, you know, you finish all the desert shrines in that region, you have to refight the boss of that region that was in the Divine Beast. So like in the Camel boss, there's like this guy with like a sword and a shield kind of thing. He has electricity. You'll have to refight him with they give you like a set of equipment. So you got to use whatever your Sega equipment you got. Once again, making you maybe adjust some things. Like, hey, maybe you relied on like big heavy swings with the broadsword and just did spin to win to beat them. But this time, no, it's like you just got a sword and a shield. You got to parry that dude, you got to dodge it. I appreciate that kind of stuff. Not only throughout the DLC Part 2, the Champions Ballad, you're getting additional cutscenes of the champions and them joining Zelda to be a champion, which I really love. You get to see them all interacting again. It's really great. But there's one at the end when Link joins them as a champion. They're all there. And Zelda's like, yo, you're going to be a champion now. You're one of us thing. A group photo happens. And I just love the group photo. You see it. They're all hugging. Like, Daruk's hugging them all, dude. It's so good. And you get that photo for you to have. And I just think that's so damn jolly. Once you finish the 5th and final Divine Beast, however you want to call it, you get the Master Cycle. You get a damn motorcycle in this game. And if you asked me this years ago, I would say that's really weird and doesn't feel like it makes sense in Zelda. And I don't know how I feel about it. But with all the Sheikah technology in the game Breath of the Wild, it kind of sets you up for that. And it makes total sense to me when I'm doing it. It feels great. You're just cruising around Hyrule on a dirt bike, dude, doing donuts and stuff, like spraying mud up and shit. It's so weird. I'm like, what game am I playing right now? And I love it. I appreciate it. Also, it has fuel. And if it goes down, you gotta throw like materials, like apples or something into it to give it fuel. It's just really fun, and I really appreciate that. Oh yeah, also in the DLC, they add some items to help you just like navigate easier. There's some stuff you can get for your horse, like a piece of gear you could put on to boost its stats. So like with Walter, I got Walter very early on in the game. You know, his stats were not very good, dude. Low stats, but I loved Walter. Put this thing on him, it boosted his stats up so I could just, he was a more efficient horse, you know, faster speed, more boost, good stuff. I just loved it. I could power up Walter. And you could also get a thing to summon your horse wherever you're at kind of thing. So like how it usually worked was, if you're far away from your horse, can't hear you, whatever, it's like on the other side of the map, you'd have to go to a stable and they could get your horse back for you. No problem, but now you can just kind of summon it up and have it right with you, which I appreciate, and especially because you know you gotta do a little things for it, so it's not like immediately right at the gate you can get it. And also there's a stone you can use to set as a warp point. So it's like, hey, I go to this place specifically quite a bit. It's like, or it could be like, this spot's a really big pain in the ass to get up to, but I want to get up to there more easily. So I'm gonna put this little device up there, and now I can just teleport there easily whenever I want. Okay, so let's talk about Hyrule Castle. One of the best parts of this whole game, in my opinion. The whole game, you see Hyrule Castle under distress. Calamity Ganon's taking over. You got guardians roaming around it looking to kill you at any second. This castle is so sick because there are so many different routes you can go to get into this castle. You could start really low. You could jump in really low and make your way through tunnels and stuff like that. Or you could try to barge through the gate, but you're gonna have to deal with all these guardians shooting at you nonstop. It's very dangerous. There's just so many multiple routes to go through this. And you're going through the castle, you know, you're finding really cool stuff, like you're finding the King of Hyrule's journal behind a secret door, just telling about his struggles and everything like that, wanting Zelda, trying to be a good father to Zelda, but also be a good king. You go to Zelda's tower, or like her research center, with her just talking about all the Sheikah tech, but then you find her journal, talking about her relationship with Link and all that stuff. It's just really cool, and getting to go through the halls, like the armory, and seeing like the dining room, and fighting guys off as you're just going through. It's really great. Sometimes maybe I'm just like, yo, I'm just gonna jump in, I'm gonna Rivali's Gale, fly up really high, we're just gonna try to rush it in, or I'm gonna take it really slow. You know, you go through the bottom area, you go to the dungeons, man. You fight a giant skeleton Hinox and you get the Hylian shield. Really cool stuff. There's really great weapons in here. So if you're feeling brave early on in the game too, you can go in here to get some higher power weapons if you want. I really respect it and I love it. So once you get to Ganon, if you've done the Divine Beasts, once you complete a Divine Beast, there are just 4 lasers pointing at Hyrule Castle. Once you get to Ganon, right here, all the champions awaken, you know, they're ghosts, they all wake up and they're like, yo, let's do this, fuck Ganon. And then everyone shoots a big Death Star beam at Ganon, and you see his health just go down by half, which is a really cool reward for doing all the Divine Beasts. Like, obviously you don't have to, you can just fight Ganon without doing them, but you know, if you do it this way, it's gonna be a little bit easier. So you're fighting them down there, you're reflecting beams at him, it's all fun, good stuff. You defeat him, but then he gets big, dude. We got Giga Ganon right here. We got Dark Beast Ganon. He's like full on boar, pig form, huge boy in the field of Hyrule. Zelda's instructing you, you get a bow of light. You're riding by, it's not very difficult, but it looks cool. He's huge, roaming around. You're just shooting light arrows at him and stuff, and you eventually take him down as you do in a Zelda game, and it's just super jolly. I do wish he was a little more difficult and a little more of a threat, I guess, especially in that phase, but it's still cool and I respect the scale big time.
Finish him, Link!
And that's the game, the credits roll, but if you've gotten all the memories throughout the game from the Sheikah Slate, the old memories, you get an extra little cutscene at the end. Just Link and Zelda, you know, just talking about what they're gonna do and going forward and leading into Tears of the Kingdom. So I do like that, you know, you get a little reward for collecting those photos, very nice. Those are my thoughts on Breath of the Wild, a game I really love, but I got problems with it. I got problems with Breath of the Wild, no doubt, but I really enjoy it greatly, and I think it's really special, and I think it achieved what it set out to achieve mostly, which is the sense of freedom and exploration. I think Breath of the Wild nailed that. If they can nail some of like the dungeon aspects later on in the series, I think they're gonna be in good shape. But yeah, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about Breath of the Wild in the comments below and all that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time, we'll see you later. Snack time. Let's see what we got. What the?